What's happening, all you sticks out there? Today I'm out here pre-rigging on my poles, getting ready for tournament season. It's right around the corner. Here in just a couple weeks, actually, on the False River. Today, me and Gatlin, my little nephew, we are pre-rigging some rod and reels, getting ready to start this tournament season, and I want to show y'all some baits that I've been using that are very special to me. Down the river baits. So let's dive into the boat and let me show y'all exactly what I'm getting set up. What's happening, sticks? Today we're here at my house, inside my boat, getting some stuff pre-rigged, ready for tournament season. And I have some baits I wanted to show y'all. I got with them last year, and called Down the River Baits, right here. Down the River Baits, and they're made by Mr. Benefano, and he makes pretty incredible baits. So I'm gonna show y'all a couple of his baits that I have here on deck of my boat and how they're rigged and the different ways I like to rig them. But here's the first one. The first one is the quarter blue crawl, right? That's what it's called. It's called the quarter blue crawl. And right here on the knot of his head, there's like a big knot right there. And what that allows is when you text pose this thing, it lets your bait be a little more relaxed and free ranging, so it ain't all bunched up. And it actually saves you a whole lot on your baits because you can catch more fish with these. So what I normally like to do is text pose it, but right here's another way I like to fish it, and that is on a jig right there. See, works really good on a jig, black and blue. Uh, Another way I like to use these things is on a Neko rig or Neko, however you want to say it. And I like Texas rig it, but man, when you fish it on that Neko rig, that thing stands straight up and the fish can't resist it. Uh, that's called the quarter blue crawl. The next one is right here, and the next one is a creature style bait or beaver style, and it is called the 2 o'clock bug. As you see, a lot of these are like a bluish or blue and black or sapphire blue. That color works great down here in Louisiana and southeast Texas. But so on here, I like to throw it Texas rig, and also I like to throw it on the jig. So if you want to have a little more subtle action, you just take this 2 o'clock bug right here in the outside appendages, you just pop them off, and that way you're just left with the 2 appendages on the inside right here, and it makes it really sufficient on the back of a jig whenever you're flipping. So right here I got one rigged up right on my Texas rig. I got a tungsten 3/8, right, and I just got it text pose on a offset hook, and I like pitching it around the trees and all. I got 20-pound test line. I'm fishing on a medium heavy. It's a 7'4" rod, and it's a FS rod, and I got it thrown on the new SLX DC, great reel. But that's my Texas rig setup. So I like using monofilament when on my Texas rigs because when I'm pitching it in the brush piles and things of that nature, it allows a little more stretch, right? And I tend to not lose as many fish. But also fishing the Texas rig, I can take my bobber stop, move my bobber stop up on my line. Show you what I'm talking about. So I can take and move my bobber stop like this up my line, right? A little ways. And as that thing falls, you know, with monofilament it floats. So when that bait hits, I only go about yay far, and when that bait hits, it allows this 2 o'clock bug or that quarter blue crawl to slowly sink behind it with the monofilament. It don't have such a fast fall rate when I'm flipping brush and cypress trees. And so the next one is probably one of the easiest ways to fish. So I got this set up on a little 6/8. This is kind of like your finesse open face setups, right? So this is the Snicka right here, and you know, it's just a stick style bait, but this thing is packed with salt right here. It's packed with salt, and it has a pretty good sink rate whenever you want a wacky rig, or even if you want to Texas rig this thing, you know, weightless or with a weight. But I'm telling you, the way this thing moves is a lot like the Senko. It sinks a lot like the Senko because of the salt rate, but to me it's a little more durable. I'm able to catch more fish on this bait than I'm able to with the Senko. You know, Senko, you hook one, 9 times out of 10 that bait is ripped, you know. But here, I think DJ, we went fishing the other day, and this one's still rigged on here, and he caught quite a few with it, right? Just like this, and there's a little weight on the back end, and he Nico rigged it, and the thing held up pretty well, as you can see. So it's a very durable bait. You like throwing Senkos and wacky worms and Nico rigs, I'm telling you, this Snicka with down the river baits is amazing when it comes to durability. Allows you to catch more fish, saves you on your pocketbook because you ain't got to buy so many all the time, you know. The next one is here, and man, here is called, they got two of them. They got the Big Easy and they have the Little Easy, and what it is a finesse style worm, is pretty much all it is, right? But this is a watermelon blue, and it's right here. I like to tie this thing on a shaky head, right? This thing, when it falls, this bait right here kind of dance shimmies a little bit, you know. On low current, it floats, and especially this time of year with the water being cold, you know, I like pitching this as something easy. It's got a slow fall rate, right? It still sinks because it's weighted hook, but it's got a slower fall rate, and it just kind of glides down in front of that fish, right? Because fish are still moving in the winter time, and they're not all just locked up and not feeding. They feed all the time. This time of the year is when those fish are pretty much, they're fatter than any other time of the year. All your fish, right? They're getting ready for that pre-spawn and that spawn phase, and they got to be healthy for that. So they're out there feeding. So when times get a little tough, I pitch this under docks and cypress trees and around brush piles, and with this slow falling bait, I'm able to get a lot of bites on this shaky head, and a lot of times they hit it on the fall, right? Sit there and you shake the end of this rod, and then I bump it, right? And it allows that bait to come up, and it slowly falls back down, and they hit it on that fall, you know, a lot of times. So that's this one right here, not rigged up, right? So they got the big easy and the little easy. One's just bigger than the other, uh, but they're more of a finesse style worm. So the next one is quarter blue worm, and this quarter blue worm is like a swimming worm, right? See, it's got a little tail on the back end right there, and it's kind of cut up. So when this thing is being fished, when it falls, this tail goes crazy on the back end, right? And twists and everything else as it flutters. And you fish this on a Texas rig, and when you throw it out and it falls and it flutters, you know, you can slowly wind it with like an 1/8 ounce or a 1/16 ounce bullet weight, and kind of slow swim this thing, and this thing just kind of, this tail just flutters back and forth and has a swimming action to it. This is really, really good fishing it that way in grass and vegetation and things like that, you know. You go to Toledo Bend, you go to Rayburn, you throw your own the quarter blue worm, a swim worm, you throw it in that grass and pull it through that grass real slow, and you're going to get hammered. It's a really, really good bait. Another way I like to throw this bait is a little untraditional. I don't know if I've really seen a whole lot of people do this, but on a lot of people, it was big and popular nowadays on your spinner baits, right? So before you go crazy, hear me out. Yeah, I got a swim worm back on the back of my spinner bait, so it's really popular nowadays to throw like a straight stick worm on the back of it or something of that nature, right, for the swim. But here I got a CW Custom spinner bait, right, and on the back of this thing, if you can see it, there is that quarter blue worm on there. So when this thing is moving, right, and them blades are spinning on the back end with this little tail, it has a little bit of action on the back end, almost like a paddle tail would, right, like a swim bait. But the reason I opt to use this sometimes is because when you throw a paddle tail on the back of your spinner bait, that paddle tail tends to make your bait rise up in the water column. And when I don't want my bait to rise up in the water column, you know, and them fish are actively feeding pretty good, I'll throw that quarter blue worm on the back of it and help get that extra action, that extra vibration in there, without it having to lift my bait all the way up out the strike zone. So that's a little tip to y'all that I use that I've never really told anybody. So go crazy with it, try it out on the back of your spinner bait, that quarter blue worm, and tell me if it's worked for you, and show me your pictures. You know, it's a little unorthodox, but I'm telling you, it gives off a crazy action, and it keeps you in the strike zone and not wanting it to lift out. So that quarter blue crawl, you Texas rig it, right, and you can throw on back a spinner bait. You throw it on the back of your swim jig, really. You can throw it on a Texas rig and spin it through. I've even taken the quarter blue crawl and putting it on just an EWG hook and threw it in the grass and let it slowly fall, and I just give it a couple retrieves here and there and let that thing go through, and then I kill it and it slowly falls, and as it's falling, that tail is still moving, and then I kick it a little more and move it, and then it falls, and most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna hit it on the fall just like that. So I gave y'all some secrets that I do as I'm fishing, getting ready for the tournament season. Hope it helps y'all out on the water. And I know we got some cold weather coming up, but I'm telling y'all, this time of the year, the fish are the fattest they've ever been. So go on over on Facebook and go to Down the River Baits on Facebook and get y'all some Down the River baits. They're probably one of the only plastics that I use now, and I got a whole box full of plastics in there, and I hardly don't use any of them. I'm just using Down the River baits. I believe in them. They're that good. They last me a lot longer. I can catch more fish with them, and that's about it. I mean, there's nothing else to say about them except go get you some. So comment on my video, like it, share it. It will help out the channel so much, so I can keep bringing y'all all these different setups and tips and tricks and boat reviews. Check out my boat reviews. I have some more coming from Power Implements. Got some bass boats that I'm going to be doing as soon as this cold front passes and gets out the way. So y'all be expecting that. Like, share, subscribe. Help me out with the channel is much appreciated. And y'all get out on that water and go fishing. Tournament season around the corner. And let's go catch some big fish and stay sticking.